Hello everybody, I'm Roxy and this is Wreck Me BS. So today I bring you my highlights video, my second highlights video for the month of January of 2017. So my past highlights video was in November and it was absolutely impossible for me to upload something during December and early January days, but I'm here, I'm super motivated, so I hope I can make this channel grow a bit and upload more often. So this month was kind of odd for me. I read a lot of books that are like exclusively in Spanish, that are not even like that well known in Spanish. I'm not going to talk about the highlights. Instead, I'm going to talk about two books that I read that were really underwhelming, because again, the best books that I read during January are not translated into English, so they won't matter to you guys. This is sort of a hater video, I guess, then. Let's start first with the one that I did enjoy in spite of thinking it was kind of meh. So that was The Devil Wears Prada by Lauren Weisberger, or Weisberger. This is the book the movie The Devil Wears Prada is based on, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, no, it's not, it doesn't make like my top 10 or my top 15, but it's like favorite chick flick movie, or one of them. I really enjoy that movie. I watch it a lot. Anyways, this book is nothing like the movie, and I know you can't compare, but this book is not as chic, it's not as glamorous, and it's very poorly written. That was my biggest problem with it, because this Andy, first of all, is not naive fashion renegade Andy. This is a more of like a girl next door kind of Andy, with a boyfriend that apparently is like the second coming of Christ. It's narrated in first person, and the way it's retold, it starts from the middle, so it starts in media res, and then it continues on like moving forward and then having these awkward flashbacks, and it just comes off as this girl being extremely whiny about her job from the beginning. So the difference is that, okay, yes, Miranda is a monster, she's very tough, she's very demanding, but in the movie we see redeeming qualities for both Andy and Miranda, and especially Andy, she tries. So she starts kind of meh, and then Nigel gives his amazing speech and he makes her see that she hasn't really been trying, and then she starts trying, and then her life starts unraveling. Here, she starts with a bad attitude. She tries to get back at Miranda by doing these really petty, childish things instead of sucking it up and doing her freaking job. So it doesn't feel earned. And the conclusion for such a long struggle is also really underwhelming. And that is only poor narrative skills. I mean, I know it's not going to be high literature, I know, but I still have read like chick flick books that are better written and feel just like better than this. So in the end, I gave it 2 out of 5 because I did enjoy it. I mean, I know I complain a lot, but I did enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed like feeling the stress of the character. I enjoyed that this has more details about how the magazine actually works. Plus, I buddy read this with a friend, so it was really fun to compare and trade notes. And I found out there was a sequel that was like 10 years later, and talk about unnecessary. So no, I will not be revisiting any of this. Then let's talk about something that I know a lot of people are, if they watch this, are going to be pissed off. This is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Okay, so I hadn't heard about Rupi Kaur before I heard about the book, but I know she's like a big deal on the internet because she's a woman of color and she is a feminist and an activist, and she talks a lot about those things, and she does slam poetry and performance, as far as I know, at least. I might be lying, but this is like what I know. And she released this beautiful book full of short free verse poems and charming little sketches. These poems are loved by a lot because they talk about abuse and feminism and what being a woman means and what being a woman of color means and what being an abuse victim is, and about rape and all these subjects that I understand are extremely sensitive and they will really resonate with a lot of people. The only problem is that the poetry is terrible. So a lot of people say it's free verse, it's not supposed to rhyme, haikus are not supposed to rhyme, and they are great. Have the poems feel incomplete. Okay, short does not equal incomplete. There are novels of 800 pages that can feel incomplete, and there are short stories of 30 pages that feel dragged on. So it's not about length. So while the subjects are great, the poetry is just terrible. So this is not subtle at all. That's why people like it, because the themes are so relatable and they are so obvious that of course you're going to feel like, oh, it's talking to me. I'm glad that you enjoy it, but it's a sort of poetry and sentences or verses you find on Tumblr and Instagram, and that's not necessarily bad, except that it's just not good. It doesn't have rhythm. Even when I was reading it and I thought about it in my head, I thought about how off it was and how I wished there was a comma there, or that verse was cut in two, or it was spaced. It was a really uncomfortable situation to read from just a poetry literary standpoint. I'm no poetry expert, but I have studied. I have had quite a few courses along my program. I'm really sorry because I really wanted to like this, but in the end I felt like I wasted my money. Anyways, that was it for the book part of the highlights video. I want to recommend a movie that I recently watched that is a few years old, more than a few maybe, but that really resonated with me. I've watched a lot of great movies. I watched La La Land, I watched Star Wars, I watched Sing, Hidden Figures, great movies, but everybody knows about them. So I thought about something that I don't know how well received it was when it came out, that I didn't watch, although I watched the trailer when it came out, but I didn't actually watch the movie until this year, and that movie is Lovelace. This movie is about Linda Lovelace, who starred the arguably most famous pornographic movie of all times, Deep Throat. But the thing is that while she experimented a great amount of success after the movie was released, and she got to meet Hugh Hefner, and that movie was the highest engrossing blue film of all time, so many people watched it. Even people who didn't normally watch porn watched it, and it seemed very glamorous and all. After a couple of years, it was discovered that she had been forced by her boyfriend of the time, and she retells that story, and all of this of course is a true story, and this movie is that story, the story of Linda Lovelace. It's a movie that's told in a really shocking way without being extremely graphic. It doesn't need to be. It's one of those quietly great films that really made me think and chilled me. When I finished the movie, it was night and I didn't want to go to sleep because I was somewhat disturbed by it. And I know not everyone wants to feel that way when they watch movies, but I think it was the purpose of this movie and it's really well done and I really recommend it. Finally, on music, I want to recommend a band specifically, like their second album, and this is Glass Animals. So this is a band that I know absolutely nothing about except their music, and they're coming to Lollapalooza here in Santiago. That's very exciting if you ask me. So I don't know how popular they are. Maybe they're really popular and I just don't know it, but I'm not really involved in like the music scene. I just listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of lists, random lists, and that is how I get to know bands. But I really like them. They have a very special, soft yet intense sound. And the song we're listening to right now is theirs, of course. Again, not for everyone, but it's really atmospheric. It's like reading a book that's really psychological and atmospheric. Not necessarily a thriller, not necessarily over dramatic, but just sucks you in. I feel like that when I listen to these songs. That was it. Did you like this video? Please don't hate on me for having hated Milk and Honey. It doesn't come from a place of hate, but while I was reading it, I was really upset because I was angry that I wasn't enjoying the experience. So anyways, please let me know your thoughts on the comments down below, and you can subscribe. Of course, all my data is down below, all my social media, plus my Spanish channel is here. And that's it. See you next time. Fashion, but and also I can understand why Lauren is not objective, because she worked for Anna Wintour, and this is like a fictionalized version of her time as her assistant, which, you know, Anna Wintour is known for being like this really extremely tough woman who is impossible to please. If you've seen the September issue, you can see some glimpse of that. But this feels like she was so angry and just wrote this out of spite.